Hello, hello. Today we are going to be doing this lesson here. Day one, mean, which is another word for average. And so please go ahead and click on that and open that. Okay, so here we are. So today's assignment, there are two parts to today's assignment. First, there's an introduction, a little bit of some definitions about what average is or what a mean is. So you can open that up. And there will be a website that you can go to here. And it will go over how you find the mean, what it is, and give you some examples of it. So make sure to read through that so you understand it. And then when you're done, or as you're reading it, you can answer the questions that follow. There's going to be 10 questions about that site, okay? And that'll give you a bit of background to it. And then when you're done, so that, again, that's part one. So you'll enter your answers here in part one, okay? When you're done, then I've got some practice questions for you. Right now, I haven't put the link in, but if you're watching a video, that means you've clicked on the link, but there's an instructional video. And also, I've decided to put the notes there so you can see the problems worked out. You may not necessarily need to watch the whole video with me explaining every question. You may just want to try a question and then look at the notes to make sure that you're doing it right and to see how I kind of set it up. So you can try either one. And when you're done, you're going to do part two in the assignment. So go ahead and click on this and open that. And that's going to be this one here. And so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go over the first 5 questions because those are different types of questions. But when you're done, the practice questions will be the same kinds of questions, just different numbers. So like number 6 should match up with number 1. Number 2 will match up with the second one down here, which is 7. Okay, so again, I'll go through the first 5 if you'd like, and then do that. So you might want to go ahead and open it in Kami so you can take notes of how it's done. That's how I'm going to go ahead and take notes. Okay, so here we are with the assignment. Okay, so the first question we get tells us that this table here has daily temperatures in a city at different times of the year, and then what is the mean or the average based upon this data table, the mean or the average temperature. Okay, so you probably remember from the website that what we do is we take all the data, we sum it and divide it by how many numbers there are. So when we find the average of this, we added up, got 24 and divided by 3 numbers because there's 1, 2, 3 numbers. So if we do that over here, we're going to add up 45 plus 82 plus 42 plus 36 plus 32. So I'm not going to make you watch me calculate on my calculator, but I'm going to tell you what the sum is when I'm done. But I will put the formula for finding the average or the mean. So I'm going to list it as the average, okay? So the average, I'm writing sloppy because I got a new stylus here, is equal to the sum divided by the number of numbers, okay? Right now I'm going to write it out, okay? And so what is the sum? Well, when I add up all these together, okay, when I add up all these numbers together here, you can see my calculator, put it in, and I added up, and I got a sum of 237. So that's going to go on the top. So the sum is 237. And how many numbers are there? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So I'm going to divide that by the number of numbers, and that's 5. So let me go back to my calculator, and that is going to be divided by 5. Enter, and I get 47.4. Okay, 47.4, which is going to match D. Okay. Okay, so here is number 3. So if we read through, or number 2. So if you read through number 2, we're giving a list of days and air quality index based upon that. Okay, so let me get my pen out here. Can I write? Yes. Okay, and so based upon those 5 days, we're being told that the average is 40. Okay, so we have 4 days, but we don't know what this day is here. And so they're asking for that missing value. So this starts again by realizing that we're dealing with the average. Step number 1 is to go ahead and write the formula. So I can just write that out. Oops, I got a new stylus that's driving me crazy. So the average equals the sum divided by the number of numbers. I can abbreviate that. Again, I'm sorry for the sloppy writing, but now, do we have the sum for all of the 5 numbers? So we know that, let me make this thicker here. can I make it bigger? How about that? That's better. Okay. So we know that we have 5 numbers after we find the missing number, which is the third number, right? So there's going to be 5 numbers. Well, what's the sum going to be? Well, we're being told that the average is 40. Okay? So what does that tell us? That tells us that whatever the sum is on top, if we divide it by 5, it will equal an average of 40. So what we can do is we can multiply both sides, and we can maybe put all these data values over here, so we know that we can add up these, 31 plus 29, and then together with those, so those are 4 values. So go ahead and add those up. Okay, so when I add those all up, these 4 numbers that we have, I get 178. I hope that's right. I get 178. It doesn't show all these 4 numbers, but I got 178. So what that tells us is for the first 4, we get 178. So I could write that over here. Oops, do I got a pen? 178. But that's for the first 4, right? What about the 5th number? Well, in a sense, we can maybe make that our x, right? That's your standard variable for an unknown. So we're going to take that and add it to the 178. And then when we divide it by 5, we get 40. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do the algebra, and if you remember how to do the algebra, the first thing you would do, and I'm going to show you both ways, is you would multiply both sides by 5, right? This whole equation by 5, and then you'd have to do the same to the other side, right? So this would cancel, and you get 178 plus x equals 40 times 5, which is 200. And then you'd subtract 178 from both sides. And then you get, oops, Control Z, you get x equals 200 minus 178 would be 22, okay? So you could do it like that, or if you realize that, hey, I know that 178 plus x divided by 5 should equal 40, right? What I can do is I can try different values. So if I try 13 and I add it to that, I would get what? This is called working backwards, right? So I could take 178, which is the first 4 numbers, and I could go plus 13 equals 191, and then I would divide it by 5, and it would give me 38.2, but I need it to be 40, right? So if you try 22 in there, it will work, right? So let's try it again. So 178 plus 22, enter, 200 divided by 5 numbers. Bingo, I get my 40, right? Okay, so you can work backwards or you can do the algebra. So that's how you do question number 2. Okay, so now let's go to question number 3. Let me make that bigger. Okay, so, whoops, where'd it go? Did it disappear? Okay, so I think it disappeared. So I'm going to copy it over here. So here's question number 3. Let me make it bigger, zoom it a little bit. So zoom in. Okay, hopefully that's big enough. Okay, so here we have a month has 30 days, okay, and for the first 21 days, the average temperature was 79, and for the rest of the days in the month, the average was 85 degrees, okay? So what was the mean temperature for the whole month, rounded to the nearest tenth? Well, again, we know that the average is going to be average, or the mean, I'm going to use the average here, is equal to the sum divided by the number of numbers, right? So we're looking for the average or the sum for the whole month, but what we know is we've got 30 days in a month. First 21 days was 79. So basically what we can do in that one is for the first 21 days, we can go 21 plus 79. Oh, wait, my bad. 21 times 79, okay, is going to be the sum. If we add up all those days, we can treat each day like it's 79 degrees, and then we're going to add it to the other days. Well, how many days? Well, there's 30 days, right? So 30 minus 21 is equal to 9, right? So that means we're going to have 9 days, and that's going to be at an average of 85, right? So this goes here, Okay, now that's the sum, right? So that gives us the sum all on top. So it's kind of like a two-part type problem, okay? So we're going to take that and we're going to divide it by the n. Well, what's the n? That's the 30 for the whole month, okay? So first we got to carefully multiply the top. So here I would use parentheses, and this is actually really important when you use your calculator. So it's a great idea to use on the TI calculators, you got parentheses. So I'm going to enter it in just like I see it. 21 parenthesis 79 parenthesis, and that's 21 times 79, and then plus 9 parenthesis 85 parenthesis, and then I'm going to hit enter before I divide by 30. So I'm going to get 24 divided by 30, okay? So 24 divided by 30, okay? So let me go back to my calculator. It's, oops, where'd it go? Come on, calculator, there you are. And then divided by 30, I get 80.8. Okay, so where's my cursor? There we go, equals 80.8. Again, I'm getting used to the stylus, which is D. It turned out that all these answers are D so far, but please don't assume that that's going to be like that the whole time. Okay, so anyway, that's how you do question number 3. Okay, let's get question number 4 here. Okay, open this one up. Okay, so for number 4, a month has 30 days. Yep, first 18 days, the average was 83. If the mean temperature for the whole month was 85, what was the mean temperature for the rest of the days? Okay, this is a lot like the last one, but this is how it's different. We don't have the average for the second part. So what we do have, again, we have average, I'm going to abbreviate, is equal to the sum over the number of numbers, right? So what is that? We have 18 days times 83 plus, how many days are left? 30 minus 18 would be 12 more days at, we don't know, at x, right? And then we're going to divide that by 30, and then we're going to get the mean for the whole month was 85, okay? So now what we're missing is this. So two ways to do it. What we can do is we can do the algebra, multiply both sides by 30, and then subtract out everything. Or we can just try choices. We remember this is the unknown, so we can try choice A, we can put it there and see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. Again, use parentheses. I go 18 parentheses 83 parentheses plus 12. Oops. Plus 12. Parenthesis. Now again, I'm going to try the 85.8, right? I'm going to try A. I'm going to do back solving or use the answer choices. Can I get my cursor, my calculator back? There we go. And then times 85.8 parenthesis and hit enter. And then I'm going to divide by 30 days. And I get 84.2. That is not 85. Okay, so then I try the next one. Okay, so what I'm going to let you know is that if you do it like that, the correct answer choice will be C. If you plug it in there, you should get 85. Okay, now it's also be good to know how to do the algebra as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and do the algebra and come back and show you that next. Okay, so here is the algebra that gets us to 88. If you want to go through the steps, basically what I did is I multiplied these out. That's where I got to 1494. But then the red shows you the steps I went through to simplify this down and eventually get down to 88. So if you have a question about the algebra, let me know. Okay, so number 5, we're being told that the air quality index over 14 days is 83. So we can multiply that out to get the sum of all the 14 days. That's 1162. I wrote down the formula here, but here we're trying to figure out if an extra day's AQI is added, what is the mean AQI changes to 80. So that's why I put 80 as the average over here. And what gets us to 80? Remember, now when we go from 14 days to an extra day, we now have 15. Again, the first 14 days comes from this 1162 right here, so I put that up here. But we're looking for that last day that was being added to that sum. That equals 80. Again, like the last problem, you can just try the answer choices until you get it by plugging it in here and then adding it to that, dividing by 15 until you get 80. Okay, since we're out of time, I'm just going to let you know that if you try 38, it will give you the correct answer of 80. And then if you want to see the algebra, there's the algebra there. But I've run out of time, so that's it. So do the practice questions.